Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. Things happen in our lives, and sometimes we ask for help, or we should. It could be a friend, a relative. Have you ever asked your spirit guides? I know we're going a little woo-woo here. I get that. But many believe that we have a support team around us that wants to support us and is there in spirit. What does this all mean? We're going to dig into that. She is a woman with a wonderful organization of certified holistic healers, and they got everything for what ails you, any situation, to help you heal holistically. And we're going to get her back in here. She is the woman behind Kate's Holistic Healing. She's an author. She is a meditation pro, and helps you with that as well, with many different books and CDs. And Kate Blecher is back on the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Steve. How about yourself?
I'm good. This whole spirit guide thing, I'm learning more, absorbing more. How would you define a spirit guide?
Well, a spirit guide is one of the souls that we travel with through time, through our different lives. And if you don't believe in spirit guides, that's okay. We all have them. They're with us at all times. They love us. They support us. But so whether or not you've ever talked to yours or felt connected to one, or you don't believe in them at all, it really doesn't matter. They're still taking care of us.
I've heard that you need to ask them for help. Example, some believe Archangel Michael is around us as a spirit guide, but it's a guide that isn't going to get in your way. You need to, and so I think he represents protection, that you need to ask for help. How do you feel about that?
Well, yes. I mean, our spirit guides are always around us. They tend to stay behind us. And only if we decide to talk to them or call them into our lives do they come in front of us. And if we ask them questions, which is so much fun to do, they always give us answers. And the answers are always positive, and they are very specific about what we should be doing about a particular problem, what's important, what we should ignore. And they're very, very positive. They don't criticize us. You know, I liken them to like being the adults and we're children. And they're just there to make sure we don't fall and hurt ourselves.
I see a picture of that. It's like there are elders.
Yes.
I believe we are guided by that. Going to be honest, I've never felt direction from spirit guides. Now, have I asked specifically or very intentionally? Going to admit, no. I do throw things to my mom, who passed 5 years ago. I get signs. I think I've shared before. I get direction. I get insight. I ask. I have not asked the spirit guides. I wouldn't even know how to do that. What do you do?
Well, that's sort of the basis of my practice as a hypnotherapist. I mean, I've written a couple of books, Journey into Health and The Angel's Guide to Happiness and Prosperity, but I didn't write them. I do meditation once a week with another hypnotherapist, and we just ask the guides to come up with the topic. And that's what the books are. It's the different spirit guides answering me on what I ask them. And the first chapter is always on how to meet your spirit guide, because it's surprisingly easy. And I take people on the meditations I have on my website, kateblecher.com. I have a number of meditations that are free that you can listen to. And the first one is to meet your spirit guides. And you'll be surprised at how familiar they are to you when you first see them. And you can ask them any question, and they're brilliant. I mean, they've told me some things that have just astounded experts. Like they once, I asked them if they believed in God, and they said the only people that believe in God speak English. And I thought that was such a strange answer.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me, well, of course, because every language has their own word. And I'm not smart enough to have come up with that. And then I asked them once, I said, well, we live on a 3-dimensional planet, so everything is 3-dimensional. And they said, no, that's not true. And I said, well, what's not 3-dimensional? And they said light, because it has an infinite length. So it's only 2D. And I mentioned that to a couple of scientists, and I floored both of them. Wow. They had never thought of that. So that's what I mean. You get very interesting answers.
You swear you didn't Google that stuff?
I know.
All right. I don't doubt it for a second. I'm gonna get personal and with you.
Okay.
You've shared before that you've overcome quite a few health challenges. Some of them, most of them for you, very serious, and you overcame them. Some of them mind-blowing when you've shared them. And we don't need to go into detail this time. When you were making decisions of what treatment to utilize, did you ask your spirit guides?
Oh, I always ask my spirit guides. First, I should ask them what I should do. But I should say, when I do meditation with clients and I do a body scan, which is just the way to start. The one thing is it puts you deeper into trance. And then 2, it lets you ask your body what it wants. So kind of talking to your body and talking to your spirit guides and saying, should I have surgery or should I take a more conservative approach? They'll give you a flat out answer, yes or no. And it's very good. And the other thing that they do is when you get to know your spirit guides, I have one, John, and whenever I'm in pain, I ask him to put his hand on the area that hurts. And when he does, and I'm in trance, I can feel the warmth. He has this green light that comes out of his hand, and I can just feel the pain dissipating into his hand. And then it's gone. I mean, it doesn't go away forever, but I can keep asking him to do it whenever I like. And so they really, they guide you by telling you what to do and taking your pain away. And the other thing I do, and it's so funny, before I have surgery, I always ask my spirit guides to take the hand of the surgeon when he's doing the surgery and help him through it. Make it easy, make it fast, just guide him. And I've come out of surgery, God, at least 5 times. And the doctor's like beaming. Oh, I thought that was going to be a 3-hour operation. It was just 45 minutes. It worked so easily. I got to say, I've never done such a great procedure. And I just smiled to myself. And It's like, as I said, this has happened numerous times. And so people, even if you don't believe in your spirit guides, before you're having surgery, ask them to guide the surgeon. Can't hurt, and it will help.
Let's say you need to make a choice in terms of what course of treatment. What would you say? And you said you were in trance. So does that mean, you just get quiet, call it meditation, just so that you can maybe hear or maybe sense? And do you just say, please tell me how I should attack this challenge, what type of treatment I should use? Should it be this? Should it be that? And do you get it? You get an answer.
Well, you always get an answer, but it's more than just sitting down and closing your eyes. I can get into trance in 3 breaths, but I've been doing this for 30 years. Most people, it takes about 5 or 10 minutes of doing different. I start out by just focusing on my breathing. Then imagine I'm walking down a beautiful staircase into a garden and just finding a place to relax in your own mind and body. And then you can ask to meet your spirit guide who will come and join you in the beautiful garden. And then you can ask any questions that come to mind. And you can ask them what you should do about your physical problem.
I know I'm focusing on this, but
yeah,
I feel that we all get in a car, GPS, press a button, it tells us how to do it, where to go, and that's it.
But
I feel that, even people who want to get connected to a God, if you will, and I'm not about talking about religion here, but I'm just giving you an example. I feel that many of us don't know how to pray. Like, or we overcomplicate it. I'm not really sure what I should be saying. How should I say it? Should I treat my God like, a buddy? Like, how do I do that? With the spirit guide, and I love the visual. For me personally, I would take myself down to the beach. So, I'd close my eyes on the elevator, and it opens up, doors right there in the sand. They walk down. Do you feel that they greet you, your spirit guides, right there in the garden?
right, they do. They come walking towards you. You'll find the person is familiar to you in some way, and there's such a sense of love. And they're wonderful. I mean, they also look different than us. They tend to be. I mean, one of my spirit guides is a short, bald lady, and she's beautiful. They all wear white robes with high collars.
But mine could look different.
Right. Everybody's look different. Some see their relatives, which is very common. My husband passed away over a year ago. And whenever I want to talk to him, I can just call him there. And he looks so happy and young and healthy and just wonderful. And he's with his parents. And yeah.
Wow.
And I can ask questions. And it just makes me feel better knowing how happy he is. And he's still around me.
Now, there are some that may say, all right, guys, this is really woo-woo. Come on. Do you truly believe you're connecting with your guides? And how many do you have?
I have 6. I have Costada, the little bald lady, and then I've got 5 Arcturian guides. And they tend to be of a higher dimension than Costada, but they're all in a higher dimension than we are. And that's one of the things, I mean, you call them spirit guides, but I view them as higher spiritual entities. And after we die, then we join them and we can then become spirit guides to people having an adventure on life on a planet.
Mentioned Archangel Michael before.
Right.
Is that one of your guides?
Michael was my guide for about 10 years until I did a meditation and I sat down across the table from him and he turned into Costada, my little lady. And I mean, they glow. Their face, I mean, they're not like white or black or brown. They're like a low wattage light bulb. And their eyes are very large. They don't have any white pupils. And they are just so healthy and always have such a high vibration and so happy. And they just are so glad to see us and guide us. And yeah.
Wow. I know this again. I'm not doubting anything.
Yeah.
I can't wait to call upon. Never did. That doesn't mean I don't believe in spirit guides. I think we're guided. But I would love to feel that presence and most importantly, feel this peace.
Right.
Yeah.
They really do give a sense of all is right in your world. The future will unfold as you expect positively. And then they help us with anything that's making us feel down. And by the time they finish giving us direction, that feeling of being down and depressed or anxious fades away because they tell us why we were feeling that way, why we're incorrect to be feeling anything negative, and how to overcome it.
Does it almost feel like you got some friends hanging out there?
They're wonderful friends that love me completely, and they're always there, and they take care of me. And I'm not anxious anything bad's going to befall me because I know they're there.
It's like they got your back.
They do, totally.
In the beginning, when you either confronted, saw them? Was it scary?
Oh, no, the exact opposite.
Wow.
The first time I saw Michael, I was just, I was in love. This person was just so loving and caring. And it's like, there you are. I knew you were here all along. And it's just a connection.
Why is Michael the one that everybody or most people say is there for them? Why does that one always come up? Why do you think?
I think Michael is a very powerful entity, and he comes to most people when they begin their meditation. But the longer you talk to him and the more you meditate, then you can see if one day, ask Michael what his name is. And that's when I found out that Michael was Costada, and his look changed completely into her. And it was just, I had never stared at him that deeply. And I'd certainly never asked him his name before.
Why do you think his presence changed into that's a woman?
Right.
Right?
Yes. I think that's who it was all along, but Michael was just a presence that a lot of people understanding and talk about. And I thought, well, mine's Archangel Michael. But I think that I was working with a hypnotherapist, and she put me into a trance. And she said, well, look into, Michael's eyes. And they went from being dark brown to bright green, and then the face changed. And I asked the name. And I think Hostad is a beautiful name, but it's certainly not something I would have come up with.
Where would you come up with something like that?
Right. Exactly.
Is it really, you can really get into that, that meditative state in just a couple of breaths?
Yes, I can. Yeah. I take 3 deep breaths, and then I say deep sleep, and I'm in a trance.
Wow. Jealous. Yeah. I'm jealous. And I assume that I'm in one when I'm in one, but I find it happens before bed. Like I'll be laying in bed, and sometimes it puts me to sleep. It's like, a little bit of comfort, and I'll just sit there and I'll go in, I'll think about, certain things, look for answers. I did last night and woke up this morning. I needed to make a choice A, choice B. Nothing major, but there's ramifications with both. And I woke up and it's not like, bing, I have the answer. It was a couple hours after, and I was walking down a hallway here in this building, and the answer came to me. And I believe it's because now I know why they say, let me sleep on that. I slept on it, and it was a comforting feeling of the choice, which is choice B, as I'm walking down the hallway. It's like, yeah, there it is. Got it. That's the one. No doubt about it. Let me put the wheels in motion for that. And that was that. Like, I feel I was wrestling with it. I feel so much better now, and I feel it's the right choice.
I am so glad. And you hit on a very important point. And the people that don't believe in meditation and spirit guides, the science behind it is that when we're awake and talking now, we're in alpha brain waves. When we're asleep, then we're in slower beta brain waves. But when you're first waking up or first going to sleep, you get into theta brain waves. And theta is associated with a deep spiritual connection to the universe. And when you meditate, you're in theta. So it's very natural for you to feel it right before you go to sleep because you're into it. And you stay in theta during the entire time you meditate. And it's a wonderful state to be in.
Wow. And no one would know better than you because you are a trained hypnotherapist. So you know what's going on there. It's not like you're just making this stuff up. This is what you've practiced for quite some time now. Is when you're, and I've been hypnotized before, and it was very impactful. Made some major progress in my journey using that, and realized things from childhood and such. Are you in a meditative state when you're hypnotized?
I'm sorry, could you?
Are you in a meditative state? Are you meditating?
Yes.
When you're hypnotized?
Yes. You are. I mean, that's why you think differently, because you're in this meditative theta state.
Wow. But then again, they say, I thought about this. You're in a hypnotic state right before you go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you first wake up. Yeah. It's, I actually got in trouble with it once. I was having a medical test, an EEG, where they put the leads on your head. And they wanted me to fall asleep. They put me in a comfortable bed, turned off the lights. And so I was kind of bored. So I laid there and I started to meditate. And I fell asleep and they woke me up and the test was over. And then my neurologist said to me, well, it looks like one of the reasons you're falling so much is you're constantly having seizures because your test came back abnormal. And when you're awake, drowsy, and asleep, you're in theta brainwaves. And so then a couple of years later, I learned about theta when you meditate. I went back to my neurologist. I told him this. He was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe it. He thought it was so funny. He had me on anticonvulsants for a couple of years. Took me off and just said, in the future, you should tell people if you're going to do this.
Wow. You literally altered the state of your mind at that moment.
Right. But we all had the ability.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. And like you said, and I met somebody who's meditated with monks before. So like yourself. And I remember asking him, I'll never forget the question. I said, how long does it take to get, before I could finish the sentence, he's like, 5 seconds. I'm like,
Right.
5 seconds, you're in a deep meditative state. Yeah, sometimes 4. I'm like, whoa, okay. I'll tell you this, since I've started getting there more often, I look forward to the opportunities. Like I was in a waiting room recently, and like most people will be like, oh, I gotta sit there and wait. Oh, I'll go on my phone. I'm like, this is going to be great. like I am going to just zone out. I'm going to block everything around me and I'm going to think because now I have time to do it. And even, on a train or a plane, I have 3 hours. I'm like, I can't wait to go. I'm like, oh, this is great. In between, I'll listen to music and whatever. But then there's other times where I'm just like, this is good. I finally got, because life is too crazy. You don't have those moments where you can just shut it off. But once it's a habit. It's a habit. And you demonstrate that, 3 breaths and you're in.
Right.
And the clarity and the information and the calm and the peace that comes from it. We don't know it until we actually know it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is if you have trouble sleeping, it's good to meditate because a lot of people fall asleep when they meditate.
Well, yeah. And that's, and I've said that. Yeah. And I don't do it every night, but I'm going to start being mindful of that and see if I sleep better when I got myself into that state right before I fell asleep.
Right.
I'm going to start paying attention.
And you should think about meeting your spirit guide when you get off the elevator onto the beach and asking them to come join you and then ask them some questions. I mean, it can be something as simple as, what is your message for the week or for the month?
Oh, I will. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's like, looking forward to that. And thank you for shedding that light on all of that. I've heard about all of this stuff, but never really delved deep into it. So I appreciate it. How can we find, I know you have those meditations available for free and lots of other stuff. There's different places to find you. Please tell us.
Sure. KatesHolisticHealing.com is my company website, and you can see all our different healers and services we provide. And then the books I've written, you can get on Amazon or a lot of bookstores. And if you want to listen to one of the meditations from The Angel's Guide to Happiness and Prosperity, that's at kateblecher.com. And I highly recommend that as a way to get to know your spirit guides.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And got some homework to do with happiness and love. We'll catch up soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.